Remove the cause and the effect will cease. So I love that quote. And one of the reasons I love that quote is because it pretty much narrows down exactly what I do as a health detective. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about a new way of partnering. And some of you who are watching this already have already been clients or patients of ours, or maybe you're aspiring to become one and you're just wondering how this works. And I'll give you a quick background. When I was a financial advisor years ago, I worked with people, I would see them 5 or 6 times a year. I knew that that was going to help people ensure their success, is by being in contact with them and their portfolio and doing things to keep up with the changes in the economy, changes in their lives, the goals that they maybe had set for themselves, maybe those had changed too. So I'm completely changing this, and it's already gotten a lot of amazing feedback. By the time you're watching this, I probably have already test piloted it, and I've already got quite a few clients who are really excited about it. So I'm sharing it with you now because it's backed by popular demand. And I was also a personal trainer for several years, and I got to thinking, you know, these people hired me and I work with them 2 to 3 times a week, and they would either maintain the results, or they would get better over the years. What I've seen in my 6 years being a nutritionist is that people have treated their health like a transaction. And I'm giving them sometimes what they want, which is I'm gonna do a cleanse, or I'm gonna make some adjustments, and then they kind of disappear and they fall off. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, because the statistics show that 95% of people fall off the bandwagon within the first year. And why does this keep happening? The number one reason that I think this is going to work for a lot of people is because you fall off. So whether or not you're, as you know, somebody who's worked with me for 3 months or 6 months, and you just want to come back for an annual checkup and then, you know, do that for a month or so and then take off and come back 6 months later, you could do that. But with the month-to-month thing that I'm doing now, it's going to allow you to be more engaged in your health, knowing that you have somebody who's kind of nudging you and looking over your shoulder to make sure that you're doing the right thing, like a parent. Some people need that, some people don't like that. I know though that even though I don't like it, I need it in order to stay on track. There's always something that needs to keep me on track, or else I will take that the little bit of extra slack that I'm given, even if it's 10%. You know, that pro athlete, that's the difference between a pro athlete and a semi-pro athlete. Maybe one functions at 90%, the other one functions at like 98. And that 8% difference is that coach, or it's the strength training coach. I learned that from being a pro soccer player. So wherever you are along that spectrum, you know, if you would be a 50% performer and I'll help you get to 80%, that extra 30%, what is that worth? If you're a 90% person where you've got a lot of things already dialed in and you want to be like a 96, as I work with a lot of pro athletes, then that's your 6%. What is that worth? What does that give you back? So because so many people fall off, that's why I made this program. So, you know, like we talked about, people do so well in the first month. We get their lab results back. They do so well in the first month. The second month they're going, yeah, I'm still doing okay. You know, and then I start noticing I'm not hearing from them as much in the third month. And then by the fourth month, they kind of disappeared. And then some people have come back 6 months later and went, oh, I fell off. I'm so sorry. How do I start back up again? And I didn't get to finish that last month. And I'm like, that's not how that works. You work with me for 3 solid months. There's a reason for that. It's not just 3 months out of any 10 years. It's those first 3 months that make a huge difference, because as the literature and the research shows, it takes about 30 days for a new habit to form. So if we start momentum and then you do this seesaw thing, and I'm not kind of breathing down your throat in a good way to remind you why you're doing this, then the habits may not settle in. And I constantly and confidently have to give people a lot of tough love. Like, you got to make yourself first. I know that your kids are crying. I know that things got to get done around the house. I know that your husband is whatever, you know, knocking on your door for sex and you haven't had it for a month. You know, whatever the case is, I've heard it all. But you got to make yourself first. No, you can't give to anybody else unless you take care of yourself first. Yeah. So, but people generally say the moment I realize I don't have an appointment with you next week is the moment that I start becoming a rebel. I mean, inherently we're all kids, we're all rebels. And so that happens and people start to fall off. So this is why I think that going into a service-based nutritional consulting practice will really help you. And again, it's optional. If you don't want to do that, come in for your annual. There's several of you I haven't seen for a while, so it's time. Did we even ever get rid of that bacteria infection? Or is it just now smarter because we teased it and then stopped the process? That's exactly why they say to take your antibiotics all the way to the very end. Your life will also change, right? And so that's number 2, is that you change where you live, you might change where you work, you have a new job, you have a baby, you graduate, whatever it is, travel schedule, stress, taste buds, a lot of things will change. And our most common female comes in super tired, she can't lose weight, she doesn't have a sex drive, cravings are through the roof, her hair might be falling out, and she sleeps horribly, like no joke. And even if one event in your life, like having a baby, or your husband acting like a baby, or feeling emotional and breaking out into tears like a baby all the time, it can have far-reaching consequences if not addressed, and you'll fall really deep down the rabbit hole if you don't get on them before they do. I realize that people need to be on top of that. When they fall, they need to kind of be right there for themselves to rescue themselves, and without having a health coach, they forget that. What I've also been seeing is a lot more people being diagnosed with, like I said, autoimmune disease, and that is really one of the endemics of autoimmune diseases. It's a huge issue today, and it's a big disagreement between practitioners and, allopathic doctors and practitioners like myself. Your diet does have everything to do with it. And so if you're diagnosed with some kind of autoimmune disease, I can't diagnose anything, but if you're diagnosed by them, it's because you're like, that 5% over there. And they may say diet has nothing to do with it. They probably will. So if you get diagnosed, then you and I will need to have a discussion about what kind of new diet that you'll want to amend based on how to reverse the symptoms, maybe even the disease entirely, because that is possible. That is possible. This is one of the main reasons that we're seeing people coming in more often, is because they're being told the diet has nothing to do with it, but they still feel like crap. So then they come back. And our success rates of seeing people who get better by implementing our changes has been really through the roof. And so I'm confident that that's why we should be working together more closely. Okay, so number 3 is the research changes. So this is something that's fascinating. The gut microbiome project is one in particular that we functional medicine practitioners are following, and it changes our advice daily, almost daily now. The probiotics that I recommended a year ago are nowhere near the same that we're recommending today, and that research is always evolving. Saving your money, that's another big one too. What are you spending your money on with all these vitamins and supplements? A lot of people don't really know what they should be taking. And some people I've seen taking like $200 to $500 a month in supplements, and those are just Band-Aids. And then we fix the problem, and then they start saving like $300 a month in supplements they don't need anymore. So if you're gonna spend $150 a month working with me, hiring me as your coach, and you're paying $300 for supplements otherwise, and we just saved you that $300, then you have just now saved yourself $150. So really, it's kind of a no-brainer. Anyway, I want you to be like looking at something and go, I gotta ask Diane about that, instead of going, oh, I'm gonna Google that, because you're gonna get like 17,000 different results. Food policy changes is number 4. We're almost done here. There's now GMO apples, meaning GMO apples that do not turn brown when you cut them in the middle, whatever. What a great feature. I don't know about you guys, but I eat the whole apple when I eat it. I don't cut an apple and then save it for later, because you're literally like, once you cut it open, it starts to die. So what's the point of saving it until tomorrow other than to get some fiber and maybe a little hydration? But you're losing all the nutrients. So maybe you didn't even know that before I said this, but that's why they've just invented this new GMO apple. But the food policy changes, and so too should be the way that you look at labels. And I mean, even this last year, they approved glyphosate and Agent Orange to be utilized in our fertilizer to grow our plants. And so now we've got Agent Orange, something that has been causing a lot of health destruction from back in the war days, and now they're bringing it back. These things are really slipping underneath our nose with that regard to health. And what you'll see on the TV is Miley Cyrus with her finger, and she's like twerking something, and that basically takes your attention away from what's happening with this bill that gets just slipped underneath the rug. It's like, oh yeah, we could use Agent Orange now in our fertilizer, or oh, we can, with medications. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but if you take a generic drug and you have any kind of health consequences, negative symptoms, if it's generic, you have nobody to sue. There is no malpractice, anything protection for you at all. There's nothing. If you're taking a labeled, like a non-generic, then you do have some recourse. But most people want to save money and they go straight to the other one. So you have no recourse at all. Something bad happens to you. And prescription drugs are the #1 killer in America right now. So You guys got to know all this stuff. I mean, it's changing like crazy. So these are the things I need you guys to know. And I think that you probably want to know. And this is why I want you to be more proactive with me. Number 5 is that a major life event happens. We talked a little bit about this already, but your body is going to change as we get older. A couple I haven't talked about yet are surgery. So surgery is a big one. Antibiotics is another. Getting really sick is very common now, sadly, but these life events are really major stressors, and if we don't slow down to recover from them or take them seriously to nourish our bodies and replenish the damage that they may have brought on, then we only will get worse and worse and worse. It becomes a snowball effect. Antibiotics is the most common that I see. So literally surgery and antibiotics, those two things will wipe out the good bugs in your gut, which is where 80% of our immune system lies. When you take out all the bad guys, or all the good guys, and all that's left is bad guys, then guess what? All the negative symptoms are gonna come. You're gonna start to feel crazy. Your mood is gonna be off. Antidepressants become something where you may even, for the first time ever, feel like grabbing for sleeping pills, weight loss pills, energy pills, whatever it is. You're gonna feel deplete in so many different ways. And you're also gonna have crazy cravings because the good bugs are now texting your brain, go eat food, go eat food, go eat sugar, go eat dairy, go eat bread. So it is critical you stay on top of this gut health, and the changes and their new research and the new recommendations are changing so quickly. This is one of the biggest ones. So as you go get surgery, as you take antibiotics, as you get sick, as a major life event happens, I will be there for you so that you can say, listen, this just happened, Diane. I just took a run of antibiotics. I need to take this. And I'll say, let me give you some advice. I can't give you any medical advice, but let me just give you a few things to consider before you do. Maybe you try something different. I'm just going to throw out some options, and you get to be the person that decides. But antibiotics and the ensuing bacteria that grow thereafter because of these bad bugs that we're creating, there are 14,000 people who die every year from something that's called C. diff, and that's a drug-resistant bacteria that starts to grow from overuse of antibiotics. Yet we're going crazy on this whole measles shot thing, and there have been 0 deaths in the last 10 years. So that's some food for thought too, more like medicine for thought. So again, we have started and ended in the same point, and that is that annual checkups hopefully are going to be something that you perceive differently in your mind now, and maybe even more than annual, that you get to hang out with me on a monthly basis or maybe even a weekly basis. You're shooting me emails every week and you're asking me what you could be doing to be more proactive. And so I have the best of the best products for you guys. I've researched these. I've tried these on myself. I've tried them on clients and patients. I get discounts for them. I literally am bringing you the best that's out there. And so hopefully by now you guys have been following me long enough that you have entrusted me in your health, and you realize how important it is to stay on top of your health, because just one tiny little thing can steer you so off track. And with all the changes that are happening, my promise to you is that as your partner in health, I will be there for you every step of the way, no matter what happens. So please check out the new membership option. If you are already a patient or a client, then maybe you want to check that out and just sign up and get started again with me, because you probably have fallen off the bandwagon like most people have. And I'd say that with every degree of endearing love for you. It's just normal. And if you're somebody who's considering it now, then I can't recommend enough that we become a partner in health instead of a transaction in health, because this is the people that I see that succeed the most, is having someone who is holding them accountable for their actions and making sure that they are taking care of themselves, making themselves number one. Thanks so much for being with me today, you guys, and always, and please spread this word with friends and family, because this really is going to revolutionize medicine. Lots of great resources, and hopefully you'll keep me around for a long time, as I want to keep you around. So if you don't sign up with me, or if you do, whatever, either way, please make sure that you subscribe to below, and you're going to get access to all the new videos right when I post them. So if you're not yet ready to engage in a relationship with me, but you kind of want to learn more about who I am, then subscribe below, subscribe to my newsletter, get my free 7-day recipe book, meal plan. Just start chipping away at stuff. Get to know who I am. Subscribe to me on Facebook, like me on Facebook, follow me around like a lost puppy dog. Just kidding. Well, maybe I'm not. I don't know. So just call me the Caesar Milan of health. And you can follow me around like a lost puppy dog, and I will train you. All right, now I'm just being silly. All right, you guys, see you later.